Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated, where today it's a very exciting day for me. I'm joined by actress Dedee Pfeiffer. So welcome, Dedee.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for doing this. We were talking off camera, but I'm so excited to speak to you. I've been a fan of yours for years.
Well, thank
I don't want to date either one of us, but it's been a while.
Honey, I'm the first one to yell. I just turned 57 while in quarantine in Canada doing Big Sky. Talk about a sexy birthday. No. Nothing sexy about that, but it is what it is, right?
That's right. That's right. You just kind of have to go with it. Like I remember getting upset at 30 and a little bit at 40. 50, I was just like, whatever.
Well, I always tell my friends, they're like, why do you keep telling everybody how old you are? I said, because you have to own it. And I think it's kind of, for me personally, it's gross. You know, if you kind of just don't own it. And you have two ways to deal with getting old. You can grow old gracefully or kicking and screaming.
That's right.
You know, so I'm going to choose gracefully. And that means with a lot of humor. And it doesn't mean I'm not above like a shot in the face to kind of help soften the painful things that happens to one's body.
Well, yeah. That's right. You got to do what you got to do.
It makes me feel better, a little bit better than then it produces the dopamine, serotonin, all that good stuff in your brain that you're supposed to be producing.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We're all about that, right?
We're all about that. So I want to talk to you about, you had I'm not going to talk to you about this yet, but I want to talk to you about, you took a pretty significant break before you came back to acting. But before we get to that, I want to ask you about, what originally got you into the entertainment business? What made you want to be an actor?
Boredom. I know. Right? Okay, well, and I'll preface this quick story with my dad always called me a hardhead.
Yeah.
You're such a hardhead. I mean, we've always heard that's from North Dakota, the whole thing. And anyways, I started working really young as a child because back when I was a child, yes, here we go, when dinosaurs were walking and the whole thing, work permits, child labor, that stuff,
right.
That didn't even exist. It's like
not a big deal back then.
If you wanted something, you earned it, period.
Yeah.
Period. Like at 9 for me to go get a job was like, woohoo, look at her, she's working. Look at her. I was a little young and I'm going down a busy street on my little scooter. They're like, no, look at her, she's working.
That's right. I know. I remember those times.
Yeah, I mean, any job I could get, so I worked all sorts of jobs, but I eventually get bored. And then by the time I was 18, I was like, well, shoot, what am I going to do with my life? I knew I didn't want to go to college because didn't know, well, that was never really even talked about in my family. My family just get through and go get a job. Blue collar, okay. My dad's all about just get through. Well, what about C's? If that gets you through, that's fine. Just get through and get a job. And because my parents were like, we're going to slap rent on you at 18. They didn't care. They were like, oh, sorry. So
they weren't playing around.
They were not. He's a German man from North Dakota, and he had the stories of walking to school with no shoes in the snow.
Of course.
A hole in the grandma sewed up the wounds with a sequin thread and whiskey bottle and told you to smack you when you start crying because she was the doctor and the nurse and
rub some dirt on it.
Yeah. That's my dad. So that's the Pfeiffer. We have a strong work ethic because of my dad, actually. So my sister Michelle was doing this movie called Scarface, just a little movie, and I was like, I drove up to LA in the Volkswagen. I'm like, I think I want to try this thing called acting, and she's like, stop right there. Don't even think about an agent, headshots, or anything. Get your butt. Well, she'd say butt, maybe ASS. Can I cuss?
Right. You can say that. Yeah.
My publicist.
No, you're allowed. You're allowed. I won't tell.
Okay, so get your ass in an acting workshop before you even start with this nonsense.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was really bad. I know that they were like, why is this girl even in here? And I stuttered. I went up on my lines. I started turning red. I just didn't understand character. I was such a mess. It was really hard. I was painfully shy. So I grew up really overweight and the outcasts and that whole thing. So I wasn't confident and certainly not chatty unless I was around my friends or my family.
Right.
So, so it was something that was really hard for me, painful. So I wasn't going to give up because I'm a hard head. And I figured if I could figure it out, then I could quit it. Right. Well, 30 plus years later, I'm still trying to figure it out. Because I really think, you know, as an actor, and I think this kind of goes with life, once you think you got all the answers, you're done. Just go to sleep. Bye-bye.
It's true.
You're no longer curious. You're no longer growing with things, because every day the life changes. Every day, as much as we may not like change so much, things are changing. And again, you have two choices: resist it or be curious about it and go with it. You know, and you know, I'm not going to like it, but how about just be like, oh, yeah, I don't think I like that change. To it, right? Because look at how diffused that is. You know, that's kind of how I go through life. Is I say to my boys, go through life with curiosity versus resistance.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. I may steal that.
I got to tell you, it's like my little golden nugget that I love to share with you. That just that little, I call them zingers, changed my life. Because when my son goes, ah, and I want to go, ugh. I go, okay, I hear that you didn't clean the litter box because, you know, ... Okay, well, let's talk about this. Let's be curious. What can we do differently next time to make it happen? Because right now, I'm not happy. This is, you're on restriction. I don't want to hear what you have to say. You didn't listen to me.
Yeah, no, I actually like that type of parenting. That's good.
I tried. Real good. A parent with two boys. And let me tell you, they use my stuff against me.
Well, yeah. How old are they?
15 and 18. And I taught them, you're going to love this one. You know, stay in your own lane.
Yes.
Stay in your own lane. I'm in there trying to get all up in their business, trying to tell them how to do, feel, or think, because that's what I do. And I had to learn how that's just in life never a really good idea in general. You know what I mean? So I taught them what it means to stay in your own lane. Just keep your, keep your poise, ignore the noise, and, know what's going on, but just, kind of keep your focus. When you're jumping in other people's lanes, it gets messy. They start honking. There's lots of things happen. So now whenever I go in there, they're like, Mom, stay in your own lane. And I'm like, why did I teach them that? Yeah.
It's always interesting when they get old enough to use your words against you.
All of them. Yeah. I got two smart butts. Yeah. Because they're like me.
You should write a parenting book. That's pretty good stuff.
Thank you. Yeah. I always learn as therapists and other people. Oh, and my psych degree in my parenting or child development classes. You know what it is? It's kind of like in life when you see somebody and you kind of like what they're doing, or you like their energy, or you like their children, or there's something about them. I start to kind of like look at them with curiosity and go, what are they doing that I really like their energy?
Right.
And you can start to be inquisitive about that, and you discover maybe, I don't know, there's all sorts of things that make people what they are, right?
Yeah.
So those qualities, or say make that quality mine, not.
Well, yeah, I like that. You're collecting positive qualities.
I call it my toolbox, my life skill toolbox. I have like these zinger, stay in your own lane. That's a zinger. Curiosity versus resistant, a zinger in my toolbox.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And one of these days you'll need it as a grandparent. You'll have to bring them out again.
Don't even say that. My 18-year-old.
Yeah. Yes, hey, listen, I know.
That's how. I'm like, don't.
We've got 3 grandchildren under the age of 2, so they're little ones, and it's been awesome.
I love it.
I shouldn't say it, but I'll say it. Grandparenting, so much better than parenting.
My dad said this. My dad, Richard Pfeiffer, said, "I'll tell you something, Dedee. That was me. I sucked as a parent, but I think I'm a pretty damn good grandpa. Or as a grandpa, and he was a great grandpa. My kids never met him because he passed. He went to the light before my boys, but I keep him alive when I do and say things that are like my dad, which is like, awesome. My dad's a big smart ass. So I make sure that I embrace that element of my dad, and that my boys know that when I'm like that, Grandpa Pfeiffer's in the room.
I love that. Yeah, good for you. You should. Yeah, you got to pass that stuff down.
Yeah, and he's right. He wasn't the best dad, but he did make a great grandpa for my nieces and nephews who, had to treat him. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love the grandparenting because you get all the good and very little of the bad. It's in shorter doses, so you get to send them home. I'm not even joking, dude. Before I became a parent, I was anti-Maine. Like all my nieces and nephews loved Aunt Tiki, because I would take them, go on adventures, spoil them rotten, sugar them up with candy or whatever and stuff they're not supposed to eat, and then they're filthy from head to toe, and then drop them off at their brother's house. Bye-bye. And they're like fired up on sugar and dirty, and I'm like,
I know the parents love that.
Yeah, because they were like, one day you just wait, revenge, and they do the revenge. Yeah, but being the grandparent or the aunt, you get to spoil them rotten and then go home.
I know. I love it. I love it. I highly recommend it. In time, there's no rush.
Because parenting is really hard, and this is what I tell my boys. I say to my boys, look, I'm not going to lie to you, man. Parenting, by the way I see it, raising a human being is one of the most important jobs in the world. Name one other one that's more important. I mean,
I can't.
Human being.
Yeah.
So they're not there's that word again, not a donkey's buttocks, or, you know what I mean, like a kind, good person and a happy person. I mean, that's not easy. And I say to my boys, doing it wrong is real easy. Doing it right is hard. And it's trial and error a lot of times, especially as a single parent. And I think also with just, husband and wife, mom and dad team, it's hard. It's difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah. So you took your acting class to learn to act. So did you have to go back to your sister and say, okay, this is what I've learned? And then did she have to say, okay, now you can act, or did you just go act?
No, she at that point I was working at Hollywood Tropicana, female oil and mud wrestlers. No, not as a mud wrestler. I was an illegally cocktail waitress. I was illegally cocktailing. I was underage. So that's what we did back then. We did everything you're not supposed to do.
I know.
So trouble, right? So I did that, and after 2 years of studying, when I actually turned 21, I started when I was 18.
Yeah.
Studying. And when I turned 21, I was actually legally allowed to work there. And my dog ate my driver's license, or I washed it. This is what I kept telling Fred, whatever the owner's name was. Where's your license? I have to make sure you're legal. Oh yeah, bring it on next Saturday. And I never did. He knew damn well I was way too young to be in there, but he didn't care. Just slapping those drinks around. So I decided that, okay, I got to really try this. Like, either I got to try this or not. So I took my cash caddy, which is the thing you put your money in when you're serving drinks.
Yeah.
On your tray, and I put it in my closet, and I said, okay, that's it. You're gonna give notice, and you're gonna start auditioning, and you're going to get a job. I sucked pretty bad. My first few interviews were painful. They called me and said, what did you do? I go, I got nervous. They were like, don't do that again. That was really bad. Eventually I got more comfortable, and I started jobs. So it was a slow, painful journey.
Yeah.
I think it's,
but you got through it.
Yeah. And even like, I have to work tomorrow, right? And I got to tell you, I still get that kind of butterfly. I still have imposter syndrome where I think,
oh yeah,
do they know they hired me? I think they meant to.
Yeah, I deal with that every day. I know.
Dedee Pfeiffer, Deborah, not Dedee. I mean, right? I always have that. Did they realize they made a mistake and they hired me? When are they going to figure out? Yeah.
Do you remember what your first paying job was?
Well, yeah, Into the Night.
Yeah.
Into the Night with my sister and Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
What happened was, it's a great story. John Landis, who directed that, Michelle and Dave and John were doing the movie. I interviewed for a TV thing. I can't remember what it was. And I got it. And what's tricky about Hollywood, and I think it still applies, you have to be in the union to do a union job.
Right.
But you can't get a union interview for a union job without being in the union. So it's a California. Right. So we would lie on our resumes and make it look like you were SAG when you weren't, Right. I've done that. It's like, I call it glorified extra. I was an extra, but you'd say atmosphere instead of extra.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, buff up that resume, make it look all like, So I don't know how I did it, but I wormed into an interview and I got it. And my agent calls me because you got the job. And my sister and my family, and everyone was jumping around. And then my agent,
cool.
Yeah, right, because Dedee got a job. I'm like, no one more job than I am. And especially my acting teachers were like, she did? She actually really got one? And then they go, you're SAG, right? You're union. And I said, no, remember, that's the problem. They said, oh, let me call you back. And then they called me back and they said, they picked the girl behind you because she's SAG and you're not. And they don't want to you into it.
Terrible. Michelle
went to work that night on Into the Night and told John Landis that story. And John was pissed. He was like, that is not okay. That they should know that's not
good for John.
Yeah, so he said, tell Dedee to show up on Hollywood Boulevard looking like a $10 hooker, and I'll throw in front of the camera, give her a couple of lines, we'll get her a SAG card, we'll give her some ADR work to pay for the SAG card because it was expensive, and I was working at the Hollywood Tropicana, female wrestlers. I'm not making a lot of money, illegally cocktailing. And so he ended up, I did it, and then it was so sweet. He called me afterwards and he said, not only did you got your SAG card, I really liked what you did, and I got you some ADR work to pay for the SAG card, but I really like your performance. I'm keeping it in the movie. I'm not going to cut it out.
That's awesome.
It was like Mother Earth just was like, we're going to give this girl a break. And I thought, yeah, to this day, I owe him a lot because I'd probably still be out there going, I don't have
that's actually a really good story. That's I'd forgotten that you had a little role in that movie. I was thinking that I remembered Frankie and Johnny. You had a role in that one. That's the one I was thinking of that you had worked with Michelle on. But I guess you've worked in a few of them with her.
Yeah, and I read for something else and I didn't get it. It's just like my brother-in-law, David E. Kelly, who's producing Big Sky that I'm on right now, Tuesday nights, 10 o'clock, ABC, plug, shameless.
Yeah, we have to talk about that.
Everybody's like, well, it's about time that he hired you, Dedee. And I thought, no, I've read for David's stuff before. And I didn't get it because I wasn't the right person for it. And that's why his stuff is so good. And it's the same thing with Michelle. She's not going to do nepotism because, first of all, that would make me feel good. I want to know that I got hired because I was the right person for the role. Like the John thing was a fluke. That I was supposed to cut out. He said, look at Michelle and ask her if she wants a date, and then look at Jeff and ask me if he wants to party and walk off. So I, having been studying for 2 years, took those 2 lines, whole background story of who she is, how she got there, where she's going afterwards. So yeah,
great.
Life kind of, and it's actually, I have a great story about Big Sky because it was an accidental lifeline, actually.
So I want to talk about Big Sky, but you have to talk first about why you took a break from acting.
10 years ago, long story short, I don't know if you noticed with me, most of my stories are not short, but
that's good. That means I don't have to say much.
I know. That's why people love to interview me. They're like, just let her go and cut it that way. You don't want whatever, she's just snip it around. And I'm like, edit whatever, it doesn't work. So I've always been into social welfare issues. I've always been into saving animals. When I'm the person who just always cared about like people. When I'm at a party, when I was in my teenager and everyone was getting drunk, I was upstairs with the family dog because the dog was shaking and scared of all these teenagers illegally drinking, which I don't blame the dog. And then I missed the keg, but don't worry about it. Don't feel bad for me because I'm in recovery now for alcohol. Don't feel sorry for me. I made up for it later on in life. So I always cared about that. I was always doing volunteer work, just always whenever I wasn't working because I care. I want a bleeding heart to a fault, really, if you really want to go there. So 10 years ago, I felt like the industry wasn't being as loyal to me as I was to it.
Right.
Women were not getting jobs because we were growing old. You know what I mean? And we were looking like our age. And, cute blonde Dedee started to look her age. And then it was like, well, wait a minute. And then the same guys I went through the acting journey with who were balding, getting wrinkly, tummies, that's sexier, and they got, and I was like, well, I get a beer belly and I start losing my hair, which and I get wrinkles. I'm unemployed, and I'm raising 2 boys. I'm raising 2 boys at this point. And I was like, I don't think I like this message very well, but I really do. I want to help people. And at that time, I just saw a lot of injustices going on, which still are going on. So I'm going to put myself through school and get a degree because I figure I could probably help people better if I got a degree, but I didn't even know what that looked like, dude. I walked right up to a community college and said, hi, I want to help people. I need a degree. And they're like, well, what degree do you want? I go, I don't know. You tell me. They're like, no, that's not how this works. You tell us. I said, a degree that helps people. And they're like, a psych degree? I go, okay, that works. So they gave me some classes and I started on the psych degree journey.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Discovered learning disabilities. I grew up thinking I was dumb, stupid, told I was dumb. Comes to find out I have all these learning disabilities, which then I discovered my sons also had. And with the right accommodation.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. Learning does not have to be difficult if you can just diagnose what's going on. People learn differently, or you have some, learning disability that needs to be, assessed, and then get extra help. And then I went from like barely a C student to all A's because I had a little extra help.
Yeah. That's a great story.
Yeah. And then
I love that you went back to college a little bit later too. I think that's kind of inspirational.
In my late 40s, because I'm 57 and 10 years. So it took 4 years to get my AA. Yeah. Remember, I had 2 boys in tow, so I couldn't take full classes. And I had a lot of prerequisites. I didn't understand why there was X in the math equation. 2 + X = 3. I thought it was a typo. So that's that X. Like, oh, talk about a 5th grader. I was like a 2nd grader. Did not know how to write a thesis. I didn't know. I graduated in 82. We didn't have computers. We didn't have cell phones. We had dinosaurs.
I know.
Pretty much kids were working and it was perfectly fine. 8 without so it took 4 years for that, 2 years to get my bachelor's of psych. And then after I got into UCLA, and I decided to get a social worker's degree because it's a more multi-layered, diverse degree. And and I don't work, actually my area of concentration was not children because I'm too much of a mama bear. So my area of concentration was substance use, mental health, and those experiencing homelessness. And a 2-year degree, but it took me 3 years because I took a year off in between to get my ass sober. And I've been in recovery now almost 3 years sober.
Oh, congratulations. That's terrific.
High functioning alcoholic. We're very scary. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did you get through all of that? That couldn't have been easy.
Dude, I was taught by the best. My father was a high functioning alcoholic. You learn these things. I mean, you don't think your kids are watching, but they are. And
of course they are. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't grow up thinking I want to be like dad. No. I mean, I get a sense of humor, but my father died with his alcoholism and cancer. But so I'm the first one in the Pfeiffer family to get a degree. Yeah. And the first one in my family with an addiction. My sisters and brothers in my immediate family, they're normies. That's what we call them, they're normies.
Yeah.
But alcoholism runs on both sides of my family, my mom and dad's side. So I'm literally the first one to get sober. I'm the first one to know what it feels like to go from the identified problem to the to the identified possibility.
I like that.
That saves my life on a daily basis, because every day that I stay sober, every day that I look at life with curiosity versus resistance is a day I get to continue to be the identified possibility for others around me to go, shit, if she can do it, if she can do that, go through a pandemic and I also quit smoking. Hello, another addiction, right?
Wow.
Hopefully other people can go, because I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy because that's not right. It's not. But life is not easy. So why would it be any different? It's just harder, actually, but we do have possibilities. Like, for instance, when you hit your bottom, unless you pass away, the only way to go is up. You know?
Yeah.
You discover new beginnings, and you do get to look at aging like kicking and screaming, or with what did I say? The better not class. I don't class.
Your grace, you're aging gracefully.
Yeah, with grace or kicking and screaming. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So was it more difficult this past year with kind of being isolated and all that stuff? Did that cause you trouble, or was it, by that point you were kind of had it under control? I got to tell you, I don't think anybody with an addiction ever has it under control. And I'll tell you, I know people who have 35 years sober and they relapse, and they can blame it on the thing or what someone said or what or pandemic.
when you relapse, when you choose to use whatever your drug of choice is, and that includes gambling, sex, food, shopping,
Sure,
heroin, meth, alcohol, don't matter. Whatever you're using to obsessiveness where it affects your life, hoarding, when it affects your life, that's actually compulsive disorder, but when it affects your life in a way that makes it not very happy or healthy,
yeah,
right? That's when you get to say, hey, hold on. But let me tell you something. Everyone around you can tell you that you need to get sober, you need to stop, you need to do whatever, but you're not going to do anything until you're ready, because your
that's
body,
right.
right? Like my
That's
body,
right.
it looked different, I'm sure, than your bottom or Joe's bottom or Cindy's bottom, right? My bottom looked different, and I was ready when I was ready, not a minute before that. Because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you can steer people, you can bring them to the water, but you can't make them thirsty.
Yeah, I like
zinger.
that.
And that's another zinger. I love that one because
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And all I can do is show my boys what addiction looks like. They saw me in it, and that wasn't very pretty sometimes. And yet other times it was confusing because it's like, man, she's high functioning. They're fed. I provide for them. I love them. I did everything, you could as a mother, but I was also inside slowly dying.
yeah, yeah. That's so interesting, and kind of uplifting that you're kind of got that under control.
To be in your disease, and now I get to show them what it looks like to say, wait a minute. I have a story. I am not my story. Meaning, I've had trauma in my life and all sorts of reasons why. But I drank. But you know something? A lot of people have had trauma and they don't drink. They don't have an addiction. So there's an addiction and there's trauma. Sometimes they're separate, and sometimes I have to tell you, trauma and addiction, they like each other.
That's right.
They like together. So you can get someone sober all day long, but until you get to the why they drink, here's the drink.
That's right. The root cause.
Why, and that's usually almost always undiagnosed, untreated properly trauma. Because otherwise, they're a relapse waiting to happen.
Yeah. So you did all this work, got all these degrees, but now you're back acting.
I know. How'd that happen?
How did that happen?
That's a damn good question. I'm still trying to figure that one out myself. I got to tell you, when you go through life with a different lens, look at all the stuff that happened to you. It's like, had you told me, well, maybe, I guess it was a year ago. Anyways, 2 years ago, I can tell you right now, I would have been like, oh, yeah, right. I was finishing my internship at the Department of Mental Health. And I graduated in that crazy year last year called 2020.
Wow.
I always call 2020 is like the neighbor that needs to go to rehab. Like 2020, whoa. And 2021 is very challenging, but in a different way. But I was minding my own beeswax, trying to figure out, like, after a 10-year journey, I'm going to graduate with my social worker degree. And then, because I don't always think very far in the future.
Right.
I'm really thinking, because once I paid back all my debts, I was even again.
Yeah.
With no savings account, nothing, but I was even. But then I had to start over again with a social worker's salary at like $50,000 a year. In LA, that's nothing.
It's not much.
And with two teenage boys and a few rescued animals. And I thought, so I really had no idea how I was going to do it. Honestly, but I knew that I had to trust that it was going to be okay somehow, as long as I continued through life, showing up, which means just don't use today. Sometimes showing up means just don't use.
That's right. Okay.
Just do everything else, but just don't use, because you got to start all over again. And it's and I think that the universe, Mother Earth, or somebody was once again listening, like, this girl needs a break. I get a phone call out of nowhere from my brother-in-law. He's never called me. He's never texted me. I love him. He loves me. We see each other on Christmas and Thanksgiving, and we go visiting on the holidays, but he never calls me. And he said, hey, Dee, I do this project. I have this really great role for you. Are you still acting? I was like, what? Like, am I, what? And so, of course, my answer was no. My answer was like, yes. Yeah. And then I'm still kind of taken back and shocked. He didn't know. He threw me a lifeline.
Yeah.
He threw me a lifeline and he had no idea. goes to show you that life, like sometimes you just have to, what is it they say? Faith? Is it faith? Works best in the dark. Is that the one?
Yeah, that's it.
Is that it? I heard that the other day. I
That's
really
it.
like, because I didn't grow
Exactly
up with
right.
religion or anything. So faith to me always sounded very religious-y, and I was a little like, oh, you know, don't be all trying to make me all like,
Right.
you know, I was a little resistant. Still, I'm a little bit when you get on my face with it. But so, because I had to discover my own spirituality, what that looked like for me.
Sure.
You
That's
know,
right.
I do believe something's bigger than me.
Yeah.
It's just called the earth, the universe, and everything that's just glorious. And this, you know, plants and animals and my seagulls out on the balcony who keep me busy here because otherwise I would go crazy. So yeah, so I said yes, and I finished my degree online Zoom because the pandemic, while we were hanging low, waiting to see if we were going to come back, because we started the show in New Mexico, literally right before the pandemic. Because dude, I flew home to go get my boys all set up to go back to New Mexico to start filming. And the day before, my friend goes, "You better go to Costco and get some toilet paper." I go, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I have plenty of toilet paper." She's like, "No, you don't understand." And I go, "Y'all be all crazy, just chillax." Well, I went home and I went to Costco, and I'm still traumatized over that. I gotta tell you, I'd never seen, because we had shut down like right after that. I'd never seen anything like human. I didn't think that humans could act like that at Costco over toilet paper. Yeah. It was sad, actually. But
yeah, it's embarrassing just as a race. Not a good look.
I literally stood there and I looked around like, is there cameras? This has got to be one of those hidden camera on me. Like, what's this woman going to do when everyone acts like this? I mean, grown people with walkers, with children. I mean, just cutting everybody off like dog eat dog. And I was just like, wow. Oh, I mean, yeah. It really kind of made me sad about mankind.
Yeah, I know.
But I also understand what it means to be fearful. And when you're looking through the lens of fear, you're not thinking straight. You're just
That's
not.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I understood it, but it still made me sad. I left space for both. Wow. Time can be really ugly. And also I understand fear and how that brings out not always the pretty in somebody again. And I got I did. Closed my eyes and I just reached in. I came back with some scratches and bruises, but I got it.
You got some.
I did.
Yeah. I know. I remember those days, and it was a little tense just because I've never in my life had to worry that we were going to run out of toilet paper.
And it's true. People start buying things like oyster sauce and they don't even know what to do with that. And because they just start getting like nervous, like we might not have things. So I'm going to buy like oyster, like I told my son, honey, you might go to the grocery store and just get some food, you know, staples. And he even came back with something random. And I go, why'd you, like a can of yams or something? I go, why'd you buy that? He goes, well, we're going to need food. Do you like yams? No, certainly not in cans. Then why'd you buy it? I don't know, we need food. Honey, you're doing the same thing everyone else is doing. You're panic buying. And now yams are going bad in my cabinet. It's just... I like that stuff.
So I've been such a fan of David's forever. I mean, I loved when he was doing Picket Fences, all those shows. He's just an amazing talent, and this show's no different. I'll tell you what I like about this show. I thought it had ended, like it had that episode where like, well, that's the end. They've come to a conclusion, but it hadn't.
Oh, did you see it last night?
I did. I know.
When I read that script, I mean, all the scripts blow my mind, but last night when I read it, I was sweating and my heart was racing. And just when I thought that was, then the other thing happened, which we can't talk about in case people haven't seen it. And then
I know you got it. We got it. No spoilers.
I was like, I said, oh my God, you're giving me a heart attack over here. And I'm reading and I know it's, you pretend. And I was like, the audience is going to love it.
Well, it's so well done because you've got, you know, well-known characters kind of coming in, going out, and then you've got things that seem like an ending, and then there's another episode, and it takes you down another rabbit hole. Like, and it's just like every week, it just kind of builds on it.
And it's like he's redefined what cliffhanger is.
Yeah.
Like he's redefined that. Like and it's like cliffhanger on a steroid, redefined. Every time I read the script, and you know what's so great about this show? If you haven't seen it, I won't tell you. But let's just say this: from the very first episode, nobody is safe.
Yeah, for sure.
Nobody is safe. So every time I read a script, I go, "Oh God, who's going to go now?"
It's and I love your character in it. You're like the glue. You're like trying to hold everybody together.
Yeah, she is. She's like, I always feel like she's like the rock, and there's all these flies that get to come and settle on the rock, take a breath, reset the button, and go off again, and get all crazy.
Yeah, and it's and what a cast. You know, I mean, it's everybody in that is just excellent.
It's like jam packed, and it's so diverse. That's what's so fun about it. You have this older ones who've been doing it forever, and then you have these young new talent that have their own history because they started as child actors, and all these actors in between with diversity and gender preferences and all of this stuff, and gender identity, excuse me, and newcomers. And then some that you haven't seen in a while who come back.
Yeah, I was so excited when you were on it. I was like, "Where has she been?" School.
When people say it to me, that actually feels nice. It goes right to my heart because it's like, "Oh, you didn't even notice I was gone," because there's a lot of actors. So to be noticed that you're gone, to me is very flattering. Thank you.
Well, so Big Sky came out, and I saw you on there, and I've always been a fan. So I was like, "Oh, I don't know where she's been, but she's back." So I was like, so I was trying to, you know, I was like, maybe I should reach out and try to see if she'll come on the show. So I was trying to talk myself in that, and I was like, nah, she won't want to come on the show. But then, so I'm sitting. Well, I know, I have a history of self-doubt, so I was fighting myself. But then I'm sitting on the couch, and your Seinfeld episode comes on, right? Which is one of my favorite Seinfeld episodes, and I was like, it's meant to be. I have to reach out. I have to reach out.
It was. Mother Earth said,
tapped
you on the shoulder and said, go for it. All she can say is no.
That's right. I mean, of all the episodes to come on at that point, you know, your opposite episode.
Yeah. See, this is so crazy about like life. Life is so all different things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
so that's what inspired me to reach out. And then your people were amazing and just the best.
I have a publicist named Turk. I'll call him Turkey. He is the best. Of course, I have a publicist named Turkey.
Of course, and he is so awesome. Yeah, really good guy.
Yeah, I came back and I only had a manager for 10 years who's such a sweetheart who knew I was going through school, so I couldn't really act, but he still would say, hey, are you available? I'm like, nah, I got a final. Okay. For 10 years he still like hung on to me. So when I got this gig, I was like, dude, guess what, we just got a series. David, he's like, get out. I go, yeah, no, we did. He's like, so it was it fell in our lap. So, you know, it's so nice for him. So I still don't have an agent. I don't have an attorney. I don't have anything, but I had to get a publicist so I could be able to see the show. So I met Turk, and when I met him on the Zoom call, behind him, he had all these bags on his couch filled with toiletries and things for those experiencing homelessness during the pandemic.
What a guy.
I was like, he's my guy. He is my guy. And then I said, hire him. I love him. I love him. And then afterwards, I was like this is so me. How much is he?
Don't worry about that later.
But I'm like, he's feeding the homeless. Oh my God, he has to be my home. Yeah, so I'm easy.
So I'll tell you the first time I remember seeing you. So you were and I'll tell you, this will date me. So I was driving. So I was probably 16, 17, and I was going on a date, first date, and I was just a wreck. I was just a nervous wreck. Just the nicest girl, but I was just a nervous wreck. And we were going to a movie, and I pick her up, take her down to the movie, and two things happened. One, I forgot my wallet. So I had no wallet.
That is so
she had to pay. She had to pay, and that was so I was humiliated. And then two, the movie that she wanted to see that I had taken her to go see. I don't remember what that movie was. Probably a romantic movie. We missed it. We got there late. We missed it.
Wait,
we missed it.
Forgot your wallet.
Forgot my wallet. So the only movie, the only option that we had to watch, Vamp.
Oh, that's my baby. Hey, that's a fun date movie because she can scream.
It actually turned out pretty well because she liked the movie.
She had to pay for it. I would hope.
Yeah, she had to pay for it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, well, this is never going to go anywhere. I was like, she had to pay for this, and we're going to a vampire movie.
That's what's so fun about Vamp is that it's this unexpected kind of black comedy.
Yeah. It is. It was hilarious, and it was Grace Jones was in that.
Chris Makepeace, Getty Watanabe, Sandy Dunn, Robert Ressler. Yeah, we had a whole bunch of really talented people in that movie. Yeah, that was my very first starring role. That's my baby. That's the first time I remember seeing you in a movie. Awesome. That's my very first. Thank you. Yeah, Amaretto.
And admittedly, I have very low expectations. I was like, the way this is night is going, this is not going to be good. But it was. It actually saved the night.
So Vamp saved the date.
Yeah, Vamp saved the date.
Pay her back.
Well, I did try, but we stayed friends, but we never went out again. We never went out again. And I always bring that up, and this is how perspective is. You know, we at our I think it was our 10-year reunion. It could have been our 20-year, but you know, we had a very close class, and I brought that up. I was telling her, I was like, you know, we went on that date, and I was like, that's probably the worst date of my life. I was just humiliated, and it was just all, and everything went wrong and everything. Well, and she's like, really? She's like, I had the best time. She's like, I thought it was just a really fun evening. And I was like,
What's her name?
Her name's Michelle.
Well, we love her name.
We love her name.
Michelle. And thank you for watching my movie with this very sweet guy. She's still the best. We're still good friends. We have one of those classes that has stayed close. You know, we had our 30-year a few years back, and we're still just a really close class. But I always looked at it, I was like, you just never know. You know, you can't just assume that stuff is terrible and that somebody else is having a bad time because you don't know. Well, see, there you go. That's looking at life with resistance or your narrative. Like, it's like all you have is your narrative, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, you're projecting. How about this? Ask the other person.
Yeah. I never asked.
I know.
I never asked.
Thing where like, yeah, I always get this, like, I think I know. And I do that all the time. And sometimes my boys are like, where did you even come up with that? Is that your narrative? I'm like, oh my God, they're throwing at me. They're doing it again to me. I'm like, yes, damn it, it's my narrative. And they're like, well, your narrative is wrong. Okay, why don't you try asking me next time? And I'm like, oh, because my assumption is, oh, you must feel bad about that, or you must be whatever about it. And they're like, no, that's your narrative. And I was like, oh,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, you don't know. I'll tell you another real quick one. So my youngest, first time we took him to the beach.
I'm sorry, hold on. My battery.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, we don't lose the battery. Although that would be hilarious.
I just noticed that.
I'm so glad you did.
Well, I'm not, like they said, the most.
Is that what am I looking at back there? Is that an exercise ball?
There we go. Huh? There.
Is that an exercise ball behind you?
Oh, it is. It's a Pilates ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I used it in the beginning, and now I just kick it around because.
Yeah, I know. We got one too.
I sit
on
it.
So my youngest, first time we took him to the beach, we were trying to take him to the aquarium. We're trying to take him to Ripley's aquarium, and he was just a little guy, probably 4 maybe, but he just threw an absolute fit, and it stayed that way basically the whole week. He just everything that was suggested, he just throw a fit, didn't want to do it, just very resistant to the whole week. It was just awful. All parents have been through that before. So then the next year, we went back to the beach, and we were just kind of, doing beach stuff and everything. And he says, "Are we going to go back to the aquarium?" And I was like, well, no. I said, you didn't like the aquarium. And he's like, "That was my favorite thing."
Oh my God. Yep. There you go. And you're like,
I was like, okay, I'm going to stop trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. My son one time didn't like some food. I can't remember what it was. So I just stopped feeding it to him for years. And one day he's like, "How do you never make," I can't remember. I go, "You hate that." He goes, "No, I don't." And he goes, "Well, that one time when you put something weird on it, but just don't put that weird thing on and I'll eat it." And I was like, oh my God. So I completely would go around like this one food.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't like that. He doesn't like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you just don't know. People go through, kids or adults, they go through different things, and stuff can be affecting them on the day, and they're very resilient. So usually whatever has them upset, they get over it very quickly, and then they forget about it. They move on.
My boys are fantastic. I've learned a lot from having boys. They will get so mad at each other, and then an hour later they're killing each other on a video game and happy as a clam. And I'll come in and be like, "Well, okay, are we going to talk about our feelings?" And you said things to your brother, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" I go, "Well, you guys got in this fight, and I think you should talk about it." And they're like, "Mom, that was like a year ago. We're over that. What are you talking about?" We talk about it, And I was like, "Oh, again, being asked nicely to stay in my lane." They figured it out.
Let them figure it out.
Yeah.
I get that. So are we going to get a Big Sky season 2? Has that been discussed yet?
I hope so, because
it almost has to.
Well, there's more to come. We have more in the can.
Oh yeah. You guys, I know. We're still not to the end yet.
Yeah, it's April. We have another chunk coming.
Yeah.
So and we're bottlenecking into another. Well, because these are CJ Box's amazing books. So what we did with this one, this was the highlight, and now we're and his stories bleed into each other.
Okay, yeah, I didn't realize they were based on books. I should have, but yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're really great stories because they're interesting and they're textured and they're emotionally charged, and the characters are fabulous. So what we've done is this one book, right? So now we're about to bleed into another book. So it's going to be different, but just as crazy, emotionally charged, and just you're about to see some cool stuff coming down the pike. But it's going to be a little different, but it's still
that's okay.
Books, yeah, and with David and all the writers, the fantastic writers and directors, and other cast members. We're bringing in some more awesome talent. So these won't get killed, and I'll be there.
yeah. Let's not. You tell David, get his ear. Tell him we don't want that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Twist it a different direction. We don't want that.
Don't piss off anybody, so so I don't get killed.
That's right. Don't make anybody mad.
Stay in my lane, keep my nose clean, and feed the Canadian pigeons on my balcony.
That's right. Hey, am I crazy, or did you do an episode of Friends?
I don't know if you're crazy or not. That's subjective. That's up to you. I'm crazy. I did do Friends. Actually, I was. Whatever people say crazy, I'm like, well, crazy. It was crazy. I did do Friends, and I had just given birth to my first son, 3 months pregnant. I was in the waiting room to go in to audition. So I worked through all my pregnancies. I was just like a workaholic, like I said, my German, and I was like out in the hallway with a towel or a blanket over me with the boy's daddy, breastfeeding. Dedee, I'm like, yeah. So here, take Junior. And I went in and read for a role, and which was so flattering because it was for the pediatrician role in this episode.
Yeah.
And then, Ross is it Ross? I think with pediatrician. And then they said, we'd like you to read for this other role. Joey's the girl that got away, which is interesting. I'm like, I just gave birth 3 months ago. I think it's because I was freaking voluptuous. So I had lots of, I was breastfeeding. So, so they said, come back in and read for this other role. And I got it. And I was like, so I became the girl that kind of slipped through Joey's, almost, perfect.
Yeah. I thought so. I thought that was you. That was, that was a good episode.
Yeah. And we worked around the clock and Braxton fell asleep. So Lisa, who had kids before, I was falling out of my shirt because I was getting engorged because I needed to breastfeed. My son had fallen asleep. The wardrobe people were like, "Oh my God, she's just like falling out of her shirt." And I got real voluptuous. By the time I went to camera, they were like, "Whoa, look at the guest star." I'm like, "I'm sorry, my son fell asleep." I went to rehearsal with like vomit down the back of my suede jacket. So I've been feeding my son, and Lisa Kudrow was like, "Check the back of your." I go, "Oh God," you know. Yeah, working mom.
Yeah, you don't hear those stories very often.
No. And it's funny that my sons don't really know like who Jennifer Aniston and Courtney Cox are. And they, but they went and saw my son. I took a curtain call with my son because then of course he woke up. So, and he's just like 3 months and he's looking at everybody. And I was like, but the girls loved him. I said, "Do you have any idea that the Friends cast, the girls were oogling all over you and stuff?" And they don't really get the magnitude of like how Jennifer Aniston, you know, was like, cute. And they're like, you know, they know who she is and they think she's beautiful and she, you know, and all that. But like our generation.
That's right. Yeah. They just don't get the impact.
Yeah.
You didn't you have a starring role on a TV show at one time? I've been trying to think of the name of it, but
I was on a series. You mean?
Yeah.
Cybill.
Oh, Cybill. Yeah.
I played Rachel, the older daughter, who was always pregnant.
That was actually a really good show. I enjoyed that one. I knew there was one I was trying to think of, and I just couldn't think of the name.
For Your Love with Holly Robinson Pete, that was on WB, the interracial show.
Oh, I forgot that one. Yeah.
Moffat.
She was the. I know she married the football player, but she was on Mr. Cooper, right? At one time. Yeah. I completely forgot that. Yeah.
And Tamala, my girl, I freaking love her. I love her. I miss her. Thank you for reminding me. I gotta get a hold of her. She was in like Booty Call. She's done a lot of work. And then James LeJour, he was in a show, I think. D.W. Moffat, he's in a ton of stuff. D-Dub played my husband on For Your Love. But what's crazy, before that, we were in a movie called Falling Down with Michael Douglas.
Yeah. Everybody knows that one.
Yeah, right. He played the detective who interviewed my character Sheila at the Whammy Burger. And when I went to go read for Your Love, I completely forgot that was him. So we were reading, and he said to me, me and a couple other girls were up for the role, and he goes something like, and I'm always really nice to everybody. So he didn't notice that I didn't know who he was. Like I was just like, "Hi." Yeah. He thought I was saying hi, like nice to see you again. I was just saying hi because I'm nice. And then it was like weeks later, he's like something about, "Oh, isn't that crazy? We're working together again." And I looked at him like, "Huh?" And he goes, "Dedee, we just falling down together. I was a detective who interviewed you." I went, "Right, I knew that.
Yeah. I was just joking.
I don't remember. I go, "I don't remember." Sorry.
Well, you're such a big star. You can't be expected to remember everything.
I think it's this. I'm so busy being in the moment because I know in the past is gone and there's no healing back there, and the future is yet to come. So why bother about that until it comes? So I'm so busy being in the moment that once it's gone, it's really gone.
It's just gone.
And that's what my family and friends. So that's your excuse for being absent-minded, not really paying attention, and your memory is shot. I'm like, okay, that too.
That could have a little to do with it.
Really weird. I just have no memory. I go, "Don't take it personal, dude. I don't remember anybody." He's like, "Oh, thanks."
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks. Have you run into him since?
D-Dub?
Yeah.
No.
Like later, could you say, "Hey, we were in this and this together"?
Well, we did like 3 years of a show together where I played his wife. Now I'll remember him. I think what happened with Falling Down, here again, I'm totally co-signing my own bullshit. I'm co-signing my own bullshit. Riots had happened when we did Falling Down. Literally, we were waiting for our set call to go downtown Los Angeles the night the riots broke out.
Oh, wow.
We were watching it on TV, and everybody, as all of us, were going, "What the heck is going on?" And I was waiting for my set call to go down there to film the next day. Yeah, so of course they called the shooting day off, And about a month later, we went back down there after the riots with the National Guard, and we shot the scene, and it was really sad. So there was a lot of emotional. I mean, there was still smoke, and the destruction was so sad. It was so painful. Everybody was really vulnerable and raw. So,
I'm sure.
Yeah, and it's funny because you think about falling down. That's what the movie was kind of really about.
It really was. Yeah, it's very coincidental.
It really, so it was one thing to have done that scene before the riots, but to have done scenes literally when there was still smoke.
That had to be emotional.
It was really emotional. So I told Dedee, that's why I don't remember being in the scene with you. And he's like, no. I go, that's true. I just don't remember being in the scene with you. It was an emotional time. Yeah. And I think that's probably why the film, when it did come out, didn't do as well as it could have. I think it was still a little too soon. Everybody was still healing from that tragic event.
Everybody loves that movie, though.
Yes, it is, but it's almost kind of like later, you know.
Right? Yeah, it caught almost like a cult following later after it'd been out for a little while. But everybody loves that movie.
I'm watching movies right now about pandemics. No, thank you. Because I am done with this pandemic. I'm so over it. I want some kind of normalcy again. That I'm not going to enjoy watching a movie about a pandemic. That was just going to make me irritated. Remind me that I'm in this den and I can't go out and go to a museum and see people.
I saw there was a woman, the little meme has been going around Facebook where it said that her 5-year-old has been calling it a pandemic, and she thinks that we have all been saying it wrong now that she's heard that. So it's a pandemic.
I agree with that. Pandemic. Yeah.
I'm done with it, and I agree with you. I don't want to watch that stuff because there's
maybe
down the road maybe, but there's enough of that going on right now.
Yeah, our show
we're living it.
We talked about our Big Sky is post-pandemic. So you'll see in the first couple episodes, there's a little gentle references about it. And I just did a scene, which I don't think aired yet, where I sanitize my hands and then I give something to one of the other characters. And the director's kind of like, that's random. And I said, I think old habits die hard.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're going to be wearing masks, some of us probably longer than we probably even need to, just because, think about it, the flu is like gone. Like,
right.
I mean, the flu has been like non-existent since we've been wearing masks. So that might be through the pandemic where it's like flu season. I think I'll just walk around with a mask. Hey, I'm not interested in getting
wear a mask and wash your hands and
And I've never washed my hands before. I mean, I'm not gross, but
no, I know, but we're all like that.
My boys too. They're like, I'm like, my boys get dirty, they're fine. They're not gonna die. But now we wash our hands, and even sons are really mindful of that. And because it's.
I know.
Yeah.
Everything's changed. I know. You don't touch your face as much. Anything. You're just very careful with that stuff.
I run out and I don't have my mask. If it used to be weird to leave and go, oh, I forgot my mask and I have to go back. So annoying. Now when I leave and I forget it, it's like, oh my God, and I run back and hope that no one saw me, that I just left my door.
I know. I did that the other day. Jumped out of the car and started walking in the store. And I'm like, oh.
In LA, I walked. So I went home just for a minute to see the boys, and I had to come back in quarantine for 2 weeks. Yeah, that's what we're doing here. We're quarantining every. So So I went in. I literally went into the store, and I kept thinking something was off. I was like, I was a V8 guy. Where I was like, I'm feeling off. I couldn't figure it out. And around and it's like, oh, and then this guy looked at me and started laughing because I turned around and ran out the store, ran back to my car, and he laughed. He saw me and he's like, I've done that.
Well, you've all done it.
I was like, oh, it was like this total like, oh my God, I'm in a store without a mask.
Well, it's a good thing you did it, because if you didn't react that way, people would be judging you.
You know what I have to say in Canada? I really like it. There's a lot of people who are anti-maskers, and you know what they say here in Canada? Bonnie Henry just says, don't yell, don't scream, but they want you to confront them, right? And just walk up, choose to stand far away from them.
Yeah, agree.
If everybody in the store or wherever you're at decides to go, oh wow, okay, you don't want to wear, that's cool, then I'm going to choose, and you literally not shame them, but publicly distant, like everybody, like don't talk to the person, like, you know, and just really kind of separate yourself. After a while, they'll get the message. Because I don't know about you, but when I go out, I don't want to I don't want to be treated like a leper. I mean, I want to be treated.
Well, no, nobody does.
Well, yeah. So you don't have to yell or get in their face or make it this a big political statement. You can just be like, wow. Wouldn't you do that if somebody was over there sneezing all over the place? Wouldn't you be like, oh, you seem a little sick. I think I might start.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you'd step away.
Yeah, and it's not a political statement. It's just like you're sneezing a lot. You seem to have some green stuff coming out of your nose. I'm going to distance myself from you.
I don't want that.
So the pandemic is kind of the same thing. Wow, there's a pandemic going around. I don't know if you have it or not. You know, so I think I'm just going to.
No, it's so weird. People get upset about that, but I mean, we've all said that to somebody. Hey, stay over there. I don't want to catch whatever you got. That type of stuff, and nobody gets offended. But now, with this virus, everybody gets offended. I don't really get it. We're all just trying to stay healthy.
Well, exactly, and I think that's why it's like we can bring the temperature down by not confronting that, versus just making choices that, and if everybody just kind of separates from that person,
now I like that,
then after a while that person
defuses it,
tired of feeling like no one wants to be around them because no one wants to be around them.
Maybe they'll put a mask on.
And or every time they go out it's going to be a little unpleasant. There
you go. What do they call that? Negative reinforcement, is that what that is?
Or just public shaming. Maybe it's a little of that too.
Well, Dedee, this has been awesome. I knew it would be. I was so excited for this interview, and then we had that little mix-up where we weren't sure about the time, and Turk sent me that note, and I was like, "Oh no!" But it worked out.
It was 2:30, right?
It was.
See, I knew I was right. Yeah, I was.
I know he sent that. Yeah, he sent that, and he's like, "She's not going to be able to be on at 1." And I sent him back. I was like, "That's okay. It's not till 2:30."
Yeah, because he goes, "Well, I'll take care of it." Because he always gives me these reminders, and he goes, "15 minutes." Yeah. I'm an hour away getting COVID tested. We get COVID tested 3 times a week, whether you work or not.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so I was going to bop over there. It's an hour away to the set, and then bop back, and then throw in some lipstick and crazy hair, and jump on. And he's like, 15 minutes. I go, 15 minutes? I'm in Pitt Meadows. I'm an hour from my back. And he goes, well, I'll have to reschedule. I said, honey, no, it's 2:30. So I love being right. It's not often.
I know. It's nice.
I'm always wrong with turkey.
I know. And he felt bad. I was like, you don't need to feel bad. Lord knows I've got the time wrong enough.
So I check, recheck, check, and check, and recheck, and check again.
I know. Me too.
I flip those numbers, and so
I've had those where I've had somebody send me an email and say, are we still doing this? And they'll be in the Zoom waiting on me, and I don't have it written down that I've got an interview. And I'll be like, oh.
That's my fear, because I've done that, when he said,
not a good feeling.
Yeah, so when he said, 1 o'clock, I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I must have written that down wrong. I immediately assumed it was me. I didn't think it was him. Oh, when he watches this, he's threw me in
We'll let it slide this time, Turk, but that's it.
You get one a month.
One a month. So, Dedee, before you go, now that you're back into acting with Big Sky, is there anything else that you've been working on that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
Life, just working on life.
Me too.
Yeah, right. Actually, because I took the 10 years off, and I now have my social worker degree, and I have all this passion and desire, but now I have education coupled with that.
Right.
I have such a beautiful fan base. I love my fans. They're so sweet, including
Aww.
you. Like you said, oh, you came back. I do that. That goes to my heart when my fans say nice things, follow me and stuff. Even the ones that are a little,
I know. Some of us can be a bit much.
Wow, okay, it's all good and good, I guess. I know judgment. That didn't go right to my heart, though.
Right, that's right.
Here. So, no, but I have to say, honestly, my fans are so amazing, and I'm so grateful.
That's great.
I kind of want to figure out a way to join together my social worker degree, my passion for helping people on a larger scale with my fan base, and create maybe like a show around that.
That'd be awesome.
I would love to do, especially now after the pandemic with all of the, so my gosh, we have so many things we are going to need to talk about. Social shame around addiction, social shame around mental illness, homelessness, and the bias, the stigmas, we have a lot of change going on in the world right now, in our country in particular. And a lot of it, I think, to do with, it's fear-based. So if we can start to maybe a little more introspective of our own fear and the lens that we're using, if we can, I want to be part of like the healing. And I don't know what that looks like yet, but I'm really excited the idea of making it happen. I just have to figure it out.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I'm ready too. When you're ready to, you know, to put your fixing powers out there, I'm ready to be fixed. So come on.
Babe, are we all? That should be the tag. I'm ready to be fixed. So Dedee
ready
Pfeiffer.
to be fixed. Come tell me how to do it.
That's a good one.
No, that's awesome. That's really good. So last thing, where can we find you on social media? Okay,
I'm being a big girl. I finally am doing social media.
All right.
Turk made me. No. Well, big stuff.
Good Turk.
They asked if, what social media does she do, and he's like, she doesn't do any. And they're like, she doesn't do any. And I go, my boys won't let me. And they're smart because I can't be trusted. So I am on Dedee Pfeiffer Official, Instagram. That's it. I don't do Twitter because I kind of think it's mean. And I don't do mean. I don't think that I don't like.
No, I'm with you. Instagram is the nicest of the social medias.
Yeah, Facebook, I don't even know what the heck that is. So because I don't follow anybody, I don't follow because I don't do it. So I kind of old school. Texting you is pretty high tech for me.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, like I'm a caller, like, you know.
Yeah, I know.
That's like, I'm a big texter. So Instagram, and you'll see lots of pictures of like Canadian birds on my balcony that I make little stories about because they keep me from jumping off the balcony during 2 weeks quarantine time. We were saying before the interview started, I said these times are really challenging. You have to spend a lot of time by yourself. And
right.
I said to you, I don't think I like myself that much to be spending this kind of time with myself. Now I know how my boys feel, where they're like, can you just kind of leave for a couple of hours? You're a lot.
Just give us a break.
Gaming.
Oh, I know that maneuver. Yeah, I've seen that a few times.
Mm-hmm.
I bet.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I got one more before I let you go. Did you have a time, like there was a time when I was in my early teens, maybe even a little before that, where we were on a party line. So I'd pick up the phone and it wasn't guaranteed that it was going to be a dial tone. There could be other people that were already on the line and you had to wait for them to finish before you could use the phone.
Oh, I do. This was a long time ago, right?
Oh yeah. This has probably been 40 years ago for me.
Yeah, and it was an accident, right? Like you would pick up and you would accidentally be.
No, this was like we had a legit party line where we shared with like all the houses around us. We shared one line. Maybe at that time they hadn't run enough phone. I don't know how that works, but I just remember there was always these two sweet old ladies that were just on the phone 90% of the time. So you could never get the phone because you had to wait. And I never met them. So they were a neighbor somewhere, but I never met them. But I talked to them on the phone all the time, just asking them if they could hang up for a minute so I could use it.
You know something? That actually makes sense. Now, you know what they were doing is they were probably throwing each other a lifeline.
Yeah.
There's this in my psych class I learned back in the day on these farms and stuff, and especially places that are very isolated, before they had phones, the mental illness and suicide rates were pretty great, especially with
I'll bet. Yeah.
When they had access to telephone lines and they could talk to the neighbor 50,000 acres away, you know, or their relative somewhere else.
Yeah, it gave them a connection.
That's right. Depression, suicide rate all lowered.
Yeah.
And mental health helped. So it goes to show you, especially now during the pandemic. I wish they wouldn't have said social distance. I wish they would have said physical distance.
That would have been better.
Yeah, social distance just feels, very isolating, because it is. Physical distance is, okay, you're not wearing a mask, I'm way over here. Or
Yeah, I'm
I'm
way
not,
over there.
yeah, or Christmas sucked this year for everybody, right? Because we didn't get to see our loved ones.
Gosh, terrible.
Those of us who, you know, abide by the recommendations.
Right.
And so, but physical distance. I wish they would have said that originally, because that has a different visual than social distance.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are going to retaliate against social distance, because you're saying I can't be social with my family or friends. And people,
Right.
I'd be like, don't tell me I can't be social. But if you're asking me to physically distance, because it's
that's
physical,
right.
I kind of wish in the beginning that
it would have went over better. You're right.
Because because people are like, then it became about their rights, and I don't blame them. No one wants to feel like your rights are being taken away from you. So how about this?
Yeah.
We're asking you to physically distance for your.
You could have fixed all of the problems we were having just with that. If they just asked.
I'm gonna fix you. I'm gonna fix this. And well, you know, Monday morning quarterbacking, I'm really good at that. I don't know how to play football, but I'm really good at the Monday morning.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. Well, Dedee, thank you so much. Okay, hold on one second. I'm gonna hit pause. The fantastic Dedee Pfeiffer. That was awesome. She just a terrific lady. I'm so happy and honored that I got a chance to speak with her. That was a lot of fun. Really have been a fan of hers forever. The Seinfeld episode, The Opposite. She's got kind of a small role in it, but it's one of my favorite scenes in Seinfeld. And those that listen to the show know I'm a big Seinfeld fan, so loved her in that. Such a talented actress. She is killing it on the Big Sky. So if you're not watching that, I mean, a David E. Kelly show, it's loaded with, I mean, everybody in it you're going to recognize. And the stories are just terrific. Cliffhangers every week. So it's been a lot of fun. So please check that out. Thank you so much for tuning in to us again this week. Really appreciate that. Do not take it for granted. There's a lot of stuff you could be watching, but you keep coming back. I really appreciate that you do. If you haven't done so, please go to YouTube, MeisterCon Pod, and give us a like, and check out our website, meistercon.com. You can get all of our 200 plus episodes, audio and video there. So until next time, bye everybody.